Hi, welcome to 321 Podcast. My name is Han.
Hi everyone, my name is Ishal, and today we have a very special guest on the show. But before I introduce her, I thought I'd give you guys a bit of a context on what today's podcast is all about. If you were to look at the financial sector and all the businesses that are involved, the education industry, government, the healthcare industry, and food and entertainment industry, and all the rest that come with it, they've all really voiced their opinions and given us a good insight on the adaptations that they've had to make in order to survive today's time. That's along with COVID. However, I feel that a university student's perspective hasn't really been given. And I thought, why not use this podcast and platform to bring light to that space? So my brother was aware of this and he sent me a text saying, hey, I have a friend of mine who would really fit the direction in which you want to take a podcast. And I said, let's do it. So this individual is very passionate. She's really driven, very inspirational, and someone to really look out for. So welcome, Sanskriti. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you for that lovely intro. But yeah, really excited to see what discussions we have today.
Awesome, cool. So I guess I'll kick it off with the first question. That's with adaptations that you've had to make with your university life and the good and bad that have come with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think when we think about COVID as a tertiary student, obviously it's hard to think of the positives because we've got so much of our life taken away from us. And I guess when you're quote unquote young and when you're 18, 19, 20, you want to be on campus, you want to be surrounded by people, you kind of want to have that, I guess, vibe and environment, which obviously COVID takes away. But I'll start with the pros. So we start with the good things. I guess a lot of us have just learned a lot of skills we probably wouldn't have if COVID had never appeared, like using Zoom, making breakout rooms, kind of just being able to do things that you would have done in real life, but entirely online. I know for me recently in my business class, I had to design like this virtual reality kind of room with avatars and things, which was absolutely crazy. And it's just kind of showing how technology is really advancing and we're kind of gaining those skills for the future, which is really cool. But then on the flip side, I guess a lot of people, regardless of if you're introverted or extroverted, that human interaction kind of keeps you sane in a way. So yeah, just that lack of being on campus and just, meeting people, talking with them, doing workshops or team projects versus when you're at home, just on your laptop, trying to get through lectures, it's kind of, the vibe's just not the same. And I think from my peers, I guess the negative that's kind of most come up is lack of motivation, because you're kind of out here doing this degree or like a double degree. And, I feel like when you're at our age, you're not exactly sure where your future is going to go. So COVID adds that extra layer of uncertainty. Then on top of that, you're sitting at home trying to get through lectures and recordings. And a lot of people can just kind of lose their motivation. So yeah, I think there's definitely the pros and the cons to it. But I guess the way to get through it is kind of just have people around you that hold you accountable. Like just call someone on FaceTime, sit with them, get through lectures together, do little group study sessions, and really kind of use the online platforms that you have to keep each other accountable. Because then it's like you're not just going and kind of suffering alone, you're all in it together. Find people in your course as well. I feel like that really helped me, kind of just sitting with people and being like, yeah, we'll get through this together. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of the pros and cons for me.
I see. And transitioning from high school to university, how did you find that move? And do you have any tips and tricks for high school students coming out of this space?
Oh yes, for sure. I feel like if I was to use one word to describe the transition from high school to university, I think that one word would have to be overwhelming. Just because in high school, I feel like we're very sheltered. You have your school walls, you have a very fixed timetable. You go to maths, you go to English, you go to social studies. But as soon as you step into uni, I guess you kind of get hit by a lot of aspects of the real world that you never knew about or you never really had to consider. Like some random niche ones is like, I guess, financial aspect. Like you actually have to budget for yourself. If you're flatting, you have to kind of consider rent. You have to consider, your grocery bill and things like that. And just little things that you didn't really need to consider in high school that kind of hits you in a wave. And on top of that, the academic pressure obviously just kind of, it just skyrockets. And I feel like when I did go from high school to uni, because I have a younger brother, so I'm the oldest in my house child-wise. So I feel like having an older sibling would have really, really helped because they kind of have that outlook, or they've kind of walked through the steps that you are going to walk through. So because I didn't have that older sibling figure, I feel like it was extra overwhelming. So I do have quite a few friends in the years below me. So when they came into uni, I was like, no, let me be like your older sister figure. Like I'll give you some tips and stuff because, you know, you've kind of been there. So because I've kind of talked to a lot of my younger friends and people that have just come into uni recently, and obviously this cohort, they went straight into that COVID wave. Like I remember because I came in last year, at least I got the first few months on campus, which was really nice. But yeah, I guess I felt extra bad for this year because they didn't even get that. So I think I kind of narrowed it down to 3 main tips. So I'll kind of walk through those. Number 1 sounds very cliche of me, but just being organized. And I feel like it's so underrated because uni, everyone is just so busy respectively with their own lives. You have extracurriculars, you have your actual degree and papers, you might have other stuff. Like if you're a dancer, you have dance. If you're a swimmer, you have swimming. So how to kind of incorporate that into your daily routine? Because what I hear a lot is, Sam, like I don't have enough hours in the day. Like, how am I going to do everything? Or like, oh my gosh, I'm procrastinating. Honestly, just finding a planner that works for you. One of my best friends, she's very into journaling. So she kind of lays out everything really pretty in a journal and like has her whole week laid out there. That same thing, unfortunately, doesn't work for me because I did not commit to journaling. So I really like using Notion, which is this really great online website. And my whole life is kind of on there. So I have like a uni tab, and then there's like an extracurriculars tab. And then there's even like a budgeting tab so I can track my spendings and stuff for the week. So yes, 1, definitely just keeping organized because that'll remove stress from you at the end of the day. And yeah, just allocating some time for that. Like for me, it's usually Sunday night. Like I'll get my chai, sit at the table and kind of plan out the whole week. And it's just like breath of fresh air. Second tip would probably be really taking risks. I feel like it's really intimidating coming into uni because in high school, you have those kind of social groups and you have those like those hierarchies that no one really wants. But in uni, you kind of realize everyone's their own person and no one really cares about who you were in high school. That sounds really sad, but it's good because it's kind of like you're putting your past behind you. You get this fresh start. So if you see a club you want to join, like go join it. Like it doesn't matter. Like if you think you're bad at dancing and you see dance club and you want to do it, go do it. It's fine. Like just really put yourself out there and then slowly you'll kind of find what you're passionate and interested about and you won't regret it. And I feel like whenever people tell me they're nervous of taking those risks, the number 1 thing in my head is it's always better an oops than a what if. So it's better to be like, oops, like, oh, I'm not really good at that. Or, okay, it's not really my vibe compared to being like, oh, what if I had done that? Or what if I had actually made that effort to take that risk, you know? And then the third thing I feel like is don't hold on to expectations that you've heard from around you. For example, I think uni is very, very hyped for like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go party and like drink and it's going to be the best years of my life. Like that's not necessarily the definition of fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like find your own definition of fun. Like find the people that you feel comfortable with. Don't kind of like, I hate to like break this to the high school people, but it's not like, you know, like those American college movies. Like it can be, but in a more wholesome way. I feel like just group settings and all of that, it can be kind of toxic to try and live up to those expectations. You can feel like you're not doing enough or you're not fitting in. But I think it's kind of better to find what you're passionate about, find people that you're comfortable with and stick to those people because they'll be kind of like your rocks through your uni life. And yeah, just have fun with it. Don't worry too much because honestly, I look back at first year and I was like, wow, honey, you could have stressed a lot less, you know? So yeah, I feel like that's my kind of 3 best tips I could give.
Those are really, really good tips. And I can see how that may help a lot of students up and coming, including those in high school at the moment. With university being so big, it's easy to get lost amongst the students. How do you get your voice out there for the things that you're sort of passionate about, as you were talking previously as well?
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely at uni, there's just so many different people. It can kind of be hard, I guess, to make that mark or feel like, wow, I'm kind of going in the right direction. I think the biggest tip I would give is find your why, which I feel like we don't talk about what your why is enough. And to me, it's something that you can look at constantly, whether that's in your highs or in your lows, and you can kind of be like constantly aligned by that. So for me personally, my why is I don't know exactly what career I want to do role wise, but I just want to be on a platform where I'm able to inspire the next generation of women to do things that are similar and kind of incorporate all my interests in. And whatever opportunities come your way that align with your why, take those opportunities. And again, I think it really comes down to taking risks, because there's so many people that I see that have the potential for certain things, whether that's auditioning for a production that the uni is holding, whether that's doing like an extension paper, but it's that fear that stops them because they're kind of thinking, what if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't work out? But kind of just really gaining that mindset where it's that, again, better an oops than a what if, and just going for it. And once you find the thing you are passionate about, or that you kind of do really vibe with and fit into, stick to that and kind of see how you can take that to the next level. For me personally in uni, a group that I'm very strongly associated with is UN Youth, because I'm the vice president for tertiary right now. And yeah, that space has just been so awesome for me because I've met so many like-minded individuals, been able to kind of talk to high schoolers and teach them about civics education, teach them what's going on in the world and how can you kind of help with that. And it's just become a very kind of family aspect, even though there's a role involved as well. It never feels like it because you're working with your friends. So yeah, I think just really to get your voice there, you have to take that risk and have to take that jump. And yeah, it might not work out, but at the end of the day, out of 8 opportunities, if you take 6 of them, there's a very high likelihood that at least 50% of those will work out. So yeah, definitely take those risks, I reckon.
Okay, cool. Just a follow-up from that. A lot of high school students don't really have any sort of concept of getting into these groups and all that kind of stuff. Do you want to give us a bit of an insight on the induction days to certain groups and just being introduced into university and having those buddies involved?
I think the best thing for high schoolers is, even if there is COVID, usually everything is transferred online. Just keep an eye out for O week, because I go to UOA. I can only speak for UOA, but I do believe AUT has one as well. And it's basically, O stands for orientation. So it's orientation week. And usually what happens is every single club will have a stall. And if it's in real life, like the campus literally becomes like a carnival. You can walk around to the stalls, you can get a lot of free things. I remember I got a free cake one year, which was really random, but that was really nice. And you can go around and kind of talk to them. The club members will tell you why their club matters, what their kind of goals are for the year, how you can be involved. And kind of, I feel like taking risks really starts with the small things. Just have a discussion with someone, like go up to someone and be like, hey, what's your club about? Or how can I kind of be involved in this? And yeah, I think O week is a really good opportunity. And also around orientation week, there is so many different events, seminars, buddying systems that the uni hosts, and all of them are always announced. So if you kind of see something, just note it down somewhere and go to the Zoom, or kind of go and have a chat with them. And you can kind of learn more about your faculty, more about how you can be involved in your faculty as well. I know that engineering and law are quite big on their reviews, which are like their productions. So you can be involved in that side of things as well. And as for most faculties, they also have a buddy system, which means if you're a first year, you can be partnered with someone who's a senior. They've kind of been through the papers you've been through. They can give you study advice, study tips, have those sessions with you. And it's usually called like a mentoring program. So for law, we have the Women in Law program. And yeah, it's a really great way to kind of connect with people that are older than you, but also have that older sibling figure if you don't already. Yeah, I reckon usually universities are very good with announcing these things. It'll always be on emails, or it'll be on your canvas when you sign up for university in your papers. So yeah, just keeping an eye out on them, noting them down, and actually committing to going to them. Like, don't write it down and forget about it, like commit to it and actually go. And yeah, I feel like that'll definitely help.
Awesome. Those are perfect tips really for high school students. Just the last question from me, going back to my first point about those different industries. And if you look at topics that are really at the forefront of those industries, you've got diversity, inclusivity, and gender equality. They're all really, really important and really trending topics everywhere. So I am aware that you are or have some sort of involvement outside of university with these groups. Do you want to give us a bit of a rundown on that?
Yeah. So for me personally, obviously, all those things, diversity, inclusivity, and gender equality are very, very important, and just things I really like to advocate for in general. So outside uni, I'm actually part of this entire group, which is run by women for women, called Dear M. And the M primarily stands for empathy. So you can find us on Instagram, and we just do a lot of interesting events and a lot of things that kind of align with women and empowering women, whether that's in their careers, whether that's in relevant issues. And yeah, it's just been a really nice space to kind of connect with the other girls who are all absolutely incredible in their own right and kind of working on these events. The one we have coming up soon is a collaboration with Thursdays in Black, which they focus a lot on sexual assault and things relating to that for women. So we have a panel coming up, potentially with some MPs as well, which is very interesting. But yeah, I think in general, with women's rights, even though it has progressed so much in the past, I would say century, there's still a lot more to go. And I think when it comes down to women's rights, a lot of people, I guess, misjudge, and they think, oh my God, it means you're saying men are trash and we can't really, like, but that's not really what it is. It's just bringing us to that equal level. And that's in the very small things as well. I think an example that I'm really passionate about, even though I'm not in this sector, because I'm a law and commerce student, quite a few of my close friends are in engineering. So obviously that's a STEM subject, and STEM girls are just so rare to find. And even if they are found, it's just the small comments that people make in university, like, oh, you do a STEM subject, or oh, why did you decide to do this, that my friends have had to face. So I think in those situations, it really comes down to how you carry yourself. Like, if someone tells you that, you answer back with confidence. You'd be like, yeah, I do STEM, and what about it? And kind of like tell them why you're passionate about it. Like, if you want to do something that is primarily, I guess, male dominated, just do it anyway. And I guess relating more to my sector, when I look at people in corporate positions for business in New Zealand, Australia, even just overseas countries, a lot of the high positions or like the key stakeholders and all of those people are men. And if not, they aren't really that diverse. Like the diversity hierarchies in corporate businesses are still very, very skewed towards one particular gender, and also a lot of particular races as well. So I think as I, go through this university journey, and as I go through my business degree and law degree, I feel like seeing people that are of color or seeing people that are women in these leadership positions is absolutely incredible. Because then what happens is the younger generation, which is us at this point, we can look up to these people and be like, hey, she looks like me, or she kind of has similar values to me. She has a similar upbringing to me, so I can do that as well. It kind of reinstills that faith in you, I guess. And I feel like obviously everyone is not going to be excessively passionate about kind of raising awareness on these things. But I feel like if you are, a woman, or you are someone who is a person of color, or you just fit into those, I guess, minorities, you almost have a responsibility to be concerned about it, because you are being affected by it in some shape or form in your life. So I feel like whether it's small or big, you definitely can make a change, whether it's going out and actually interacting with something like a program like Dear M, or whether it's even just like you hear someone saying something to someone and you choose to kind of stand up for that, you choose to interject. I feel like those small things can really add up at the end of the day. And yeah, even in university for high schoolers, there's a lot of amazing programs that empower and uplift women. I think I mentioned it before, but we have women in law. There's also women in STEM, women in engineering. So it's really, really nice spaces for these people to grow and kind of foster those skills that they need for the future. But yeah, I feel like definitely involved in some way, whether it's small or big, which is really awesome. Yeah.
I think that's an amazing answer to that question. Someone told me one time that in business and whatever you end up doing with your career in life, you tend to work in a lot of teams. And with teams, there's, so many different people. And I've noticed that the best teams and the ones who are most successful are the ones that are diverse and have a whole different bunch of experience, different people from different walks of life. And that diversity really creates that success. So I'm all for that. So thank you for joining us on the podcast today on behalf of me and Han. Thank you so much. Your answers were awesome. And it's so nice to see a young individual taking these leadership roles and really just owning it, dude. Like this is awesome. Thank you so much. To all of our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take care, guys. Bye.